All right, the question is this week, are we going to be able to get this body up off this chassis? Got to stick around to find out. Okay, so last week we got most of the glass out of this thing. We got the carb off, we got the hood off. Still working on trying to get these doors to break free. We're going to try something different on these doors this week. We're going to see if we can get these hinge screws to break free on the inside of this door so we can get the doors off. Pull the upper tailgate window out. Pop the windshields out. And then, I guess, pull the remaining wire out of this thing. Probably have to pull the steering wheel to get the body off the chassis. Other than that, I think she'd be ready to go. So there's nothing left to it but to do it. So let's get to it. Ain't even budging. Yeah, right. There's a bright side to this tailgate situation. I sprayed down this long piano hinge type thing. This piece here is actually the piece that's going to be welded to the bottom of our tailgate. So check this out here. Sprayed it down and I'm getting it to move again. But this is the important piece of metal because that's the bottom of our tailgate. We'll pop the entire hinge off the bottom here, weld it on the bottom of that, so we'll be orientated correctly so the tailgate will shut somewhat correctly. Maybe when we're done, hopefully it will. Just a little bright spot in all this rust. Let's get back to work. Okay, we got our heater core out. The heater core itself looks pretty good. The box, however, is a little bit rusty, as you can see. I think we can repair it though. It's not too far gone. Expected to see a huge mouse nest in there, but really isn't much in there. But check this out. I don't know if you can see it or not. Down inside that manifold, filled right up with gas. That carburetor's seen better days for sure. So I went and removed like 3 pounds of grease off this engine block. Look what I found. Oh yeah. Just to give you guys some idea how thick this the grease on this engine block is. It's like a 1/2 inch thick. That is just bad. I mean, is that like normal for these engines? I don't know. All right, so we made some good progress today. Got the heater core out of it, got all the rest of the glass out. Managed to free our hinge up on the bottom of the tailgate. So we may be able to salvage this whole thing. You know, obviously I have to put some new metal in there, but I think we're going to be good. She's moving much better now. You can see. Let's keep working with it. The upper tailgate door, I have a feeling we're going to have to cut the heads off of those because I just tried again and they are just frozen. And with the doors, again today, tried them. Hit them again with lube. This is like the third or fourth time. I think our next step tomorrow, we're probably going to be drilling these out. And it's the only way we're going to get these doors off. They're just not coming out. Which means we'll probably have to retap the hinge holes when we go to put it back on. Went ahead and ordered the rebuild kit for the carburetor. It's supposed to be 2-day shipping, so we'll get it in the next couple of days. We'll get that thing rebuilt. We'll get it back on here and we'll get this baby to try to fire up. Hopefully it'll run before we finish our tear down. I just want to hear it run. I just want to see how badly it's smoking, if it's smoking or if it's knocking or whatever, before we go ahead and just rip everything apart, and the engine bay anyway. We made some good progress today. I think we'll make some good progress this week, so I'm going to call it a wrap for today. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. All right, so we're back at it again. Today, we're going to try to get these doors off. All right, so I've been trying to get the doors off with this kind of like an impact screwdriver type. When you hit it with a hammer, it twists and it's supposed to break these screws loose. Well, it isn't working very well, but the end of it does come off. I've adapted it to my heavy impact. So let's see if that thing can't get these things spun out. Oh yeah, look at that, huh? All it needed was a little more muscle, that's all. Well, that's one door off. All right, got the doors off. We're that much closer to lifting this body up. Well, if that thing worked on our doors, I wonder if it'll work on the tailgate as well. Oh yeah. Well, we managed to get a couple out. The rest are just they're just frozen in there. We're gonna have to get the old grinder out. Grind the heads off, I guess. Nothing else you can do about it. All right, so I got most of the heads cut off these bolts. Can't see it very well, but there's two. One in this corner, way in this corner here. There's one in this corner up here. I can't quite get the wheel up in there to get it. So we're gonna have to figure out how we can get this thing maybe to lift higher or something, I don't know. But we're gonna take a break from this. Today, we got quite a cold snap here in Kentucky. Not much snow, but very cold. So I think what we're gonna do today is move our operation into the warmer garage that's connected to the house. And we're gonna start building our redneck body lift. Don't laugh. It's a good day for it, so let's get to doing that. Okay, so this is my crude drawing of what's going on inside my head. We have our trailer jack. There's a wheel that's supposed to go here. Not sure we're gonna put that on, but my idea is to cut blocks of this 2x6, bolt it to here, cut pieces of 2x4 to frame in a box to slide our 2x4 in on both sides, and basically bolt it all together, and that's it. Jack the body up off the chassis, slide the 2x4 in, and bolt it to our jacks. It's pretty simple, really. Whether it's going to work or not, don't know, but we're going to give it a try. All right, so this is the prototype we came up with. We got our 2x6, 2x4 pocket. The 2x4 is going to sit inside here. Once we get the 2x4 in here, we'll drill a bolt through and through to lock it in place. I think it'll work. We're going to give it a try. Okay, so this is our prototype. The basic idea anyway. Obviously we got to put a better cleat on the bottom of this because it wants to do this. Eventually I'd like to figure out how to get the wheels back on it. That way you can actually move the body around. We have to mount this 2x4 in the location of the body mounts to keep it, you know, somewhat stable. According to the box, these things will raise up 2 feet, so it should get us clear of that chassis without a problem. And I think it's going to work. So I've got less than $200 invested in this system. If it works, it's well worth the money. If it doesn't, oh well. But I paid 40 bucks a piece for the trailer jacks, and I got about $30 in lumber and bolts. If it works, it ain't stupid. Okay, maybe it's stupid, but if it works, it works, okay? Okay, so yesterday we got our redneck body lift built. Today, we got the new carb kit in the mail. This one I got from jeepsterman.com, and this is what you're going to expect to pay with shipping and all. Didn't think that was too bad. Comes with this kind of a float gauge, some instructions, and one very important piece of information that we should have checked on before. It gives you the specs for the fuel pressure. 3 to 4 psi is all we should have had going into that carburetor. That fuel pump out there, I believe, is a 6 psi and higher or something like that. But that could be why it was flooding terribly. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take this old carburetor apart. She's pretty filthy. Clean it up and rebuild it. We got a screw broke off down in there. We're just gonna go ahead and soak all this in purple power for a while and get it cleaned up. Well, we have an issue, fellas. That broken bolt where the accelerator pump screws in is gonna be an issue. I don't know if I can get that piece of stud out of there. So this is gonna put a hamper on our wanting to get this thing started ahead of time. I can either keep working on this and try to get that piece of stud out of there, or we can jump into the money pit and go buy a new carburetor. I had a feeling something like this was going to happen. This is going to be like a snowball effect. I have a feeling that everything that I touch on this thing is going to need to get replaced, and this thing's going to get very expensive very quickly. I'm really rethinking this chassis swap thing. This is the perfect example of why I didn't want to go back with original parts. I'm going to go through tonight, crunch all the numbers, using worst case scenarios as to replacing all the parts, rebuilding all the systems to the cost of maybe a running, driving chassis to throw underneath this thing. That's going to wrap it up for today. We'll get back at it tomorrow, and we're just going to start ripping this thing apart. All right, we're back out here on the old 55. Did not get that broken stud piece out of the carburetor body, so I went and ordered a Chinese carburetor off of Amazon, cheap one, just to try to get this thing started. But in the meanwhile, whilst we wait for that carburetor to get here, there's a lot that needs to be done. We gotta see if we can get the front fenders off. We still have to get the upper tailgate off. We gotta get the bumper off. We gotta get the steering column pulled out of here. Possibly the clutch and brake pedals as well. We're gonna go ahead and jump underneath this thing and try to get these body bolts out and see if our new redneck body lift will work. Let's get busy, man. Well, it took some doing, but we finally got it off. This upper hinge doesn't look too bad. At least it functions somewhat. If we oil it up pretty good, I think it'll be fine. This, on the other hand, I'm thinking there's a lot of rust up underneath there. So I'm hoping that maybe we can just peel this back and repair the rust and then fold it back over. I don't know. We have to see if we can heat these bolts up, maybe turn them out, re-drill and tap them. I don't know. It's a lot of rust. Matter of fact, I looked up the word rust bucket in the dictionary. I saw a picture of the old 55 in there. Yeah, she's got quite the rust issues. I'm hoping we can repair it all, though. Satisfactorily. Satisfactorily? Yeah. Satisfactory. Right? Whatever. Alright, got all the wiring pulled out of the back end of the truck. Got the tail lights stripped out. Got all the unnecessary wiring out of the engine bay. I say there's just a little bit of slop in that steering, huh? Let's see if we can get this back bumper off now. There's always got to be one in the crowd, ain't there? Because this bumper is dented in right here. As I said, it's flat on that side. I can't get on the head of that bolt without rounding it off. So we might have to cut that one off, I think. I'm not even sure I can get a grinding wheel in there, but we're gonna give it a try. Okay, got that bumper off. See if we can't get these body mounts out. I have a feeling it's going to be a cutting wheel situation, but once that's done, we can try our lift. Well, I managed to get 6 of the 10 body mount bolts out. All the ones in the midsection came out. The 2 rear ones did not, and the 2 front ones did not. So I got them all soaking again. We'll give it another try tomorrow, see if we can't get the rest of these 4 out. Check this out, fellas. A little bit of WD-40. We got our air conditioning to work. Oh yeah, we got air conditioning now. That'll be just what we need on a hot day. Sucking in all the engine fumes. Better than no air at all then, huh? Look at all that. That's amazing. Just from taking them body mounts out. Pretty bad. I can't wait to get the body off this thing so we can power wash all that crap off. We'll get back at it again tomorrow. Well, these body bolts been sitting in penetrating oil overnight. Let's see if it did any good. Would you look at that? Awesome. Looks like we're gonna have to cut that one. She don't want to come out of there. That bolt's all rounded off on top. Maybe I can get a pair of vice grips on it. I don't know. I doubt it though. Well, I was able to get the rear one here out on the driver's side and the front one on the passenger side. The rear one on the passenger side is absolutely frozen in there. I'm just rounding the bolt off. Actually, there's 2 more that I found too, right in the very back. Right in the very back. So that makes what, 12 altogether. So these are totally gone. So what we're gonna do with those is we're just gonna take the Sawzall and zip those ones off. The bolt in the front here on the driver's side, same thing as the back, head's all rounded off, not getting anything on it. So we're gonna do the damage we can do with the Sawzall, and then from there we're gonna move on to the grinding wheel maybe. But right now, let's get old Sawzall out and zip these babies off. There's 1, 2. Okay, all the body mounts are out. Fenders are off. I ended up having to Sawzall every one of these bolts off. These are the only bolts that turned out right there on the passenger side. For some reason they turned out. The other ones did not want to. So I ended up cutting them all off. But the body is free. We're gonna have to wait another day to try our redneck body lift because I don't have the right puller for that. The one that I bought compact cars. I didn't even look at the fine print. And also, speaking of bad luck, carburetor came in the mail, and true to form, it's the wrong size. I ordered a carburetor for an L-head 6-cylinder. The one I got, I believe, is for a 4-cylinder. Back to Amazon it goes. So we're just gonna have to suck it up and go to the Willy site or the Jeepster man or whatever and pay $400 for a carburetor that's going to fit on this manifold. Yeah, the money pit has started, but we can't cry about it now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go down and see if I can get a puller from Harbor Freight, if they got the right one. If not, we're going to have to hit up the auto parts stores, see if we can find one big enough to get that arm off there. So having said that, we are that close. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, hopefully with the right puller, and we'll get this body up off this chassis and we'll roll this chassis out, weather permitting, and get the power washer out. We'll see. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. All right, we got the new puller. Let's see if we can't get this arm off of here. Well, there's Pitman arm puller number 1. Chinese version, I'm sure. Broke right off. Go get another one. All right, we have much better luck with puller number 2. Let's see if we can get this steering box out of here and get us a little bit closer. All right, so our steering box is loose. Only had to grind one bolt head off, which is kind of amazing that the other 2 came out, considering. But let's see if we can't get this steering column out of here, and then I think, man, we were that close. Alrighty. Wondering if we should look to rebuild this thing, or should we just put something more modern in there? Kind of leading towards more modern, but we'll see. Well, it's time to see if these things are going to work or if it was just a big waste of time. We're just going to have to cut some more blocks for the bottom to get it to raise up. Because as it sits right there, this part would slide out. So it's just barely going to make it. We're definitely going to have to take the shifters out. And I'm quite certain we're going to have to take the pedals out. But it looks like it's going to be a win. Once we block this up, get it high enough, we'll bolt it in there. Then we can remove our jack and repeat the process in the front. So let me go cut some more blocking, and we'll get this thing bolted in on the back. All right, well, there she is. She is up on the jack. Her jack is off. There's not really a lot of weight as far as that goes on these things, I don't think. The body stripped down probably weighs a couple 100 pounds maybe. I don't know. But well within the weight limit of these things. So you can see it got it up 3.5 inches, the size of the 2x4 anyway. So we're gonna have to get it up, I think, just a little bit higher to clear the back of the fenders. Maybe I'm thinking of changing out the 2x4 for a 2x6 or something, maybe a 2x8, maybe something to get it up a little bit higher. Possibly if we deflated the tires a little bit, we get that much more clearance. It'll work for me working by myself. It's very difficult to get things like this done as far as lifting a body off a chassis, so you have to get a little creative sometimes. Sometimes it's not so smart. Sometimes, you know, it'll get you by. But we're going to go ahead and pull these shift levers out, pull the pedals out. I think we got like a choke linkage. Well, actually, they're already disconnected, so pretty much everything off the engine, off the firewall is disconnected. Yeah, I think it's ready to come out. So other than pulling the shift linkage out and the actual shifters out and the pedals out, this thing will come up, and we'll keep tweaking these jacks. Not real happy with having to block it up so high. I was hoping maybe, you know, it would have given us the desired height we need, but this thing sits up pretty high. It'll work one way or the other. The only problem with the carburetor we have is one of the bolt heads snapped off when I was taking the accelerator pump out. So I was kind of thinking that we can put the other 3 bolts back in and maybe do a little dab of JB weld on the other bolt head where the other bolt head would be, and that would maybe seal that in. But that's what we're gonna do. I checked in on the one of the sites, a Willy site, either the Willy's Kaiser site or the Jeepster Man site. What it is with these carburetors, you have to send them your core and then they'll rebuild it for you. That sounds like a long process to me, so really don't want to wait that long. We're going to try to cob our carburetor together to see if we can get this thing to run just for 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, I don't care, a minute, just to hear this thing run on its own. Carburetor cobbulation. If it runs halfway decently, then we can go ahead and pull the engine out, pull the transmission out, transfer case, just get her all disassembled and start to working on this thing. Don't look too bad, but really not going to know anything till it's apart. Alrighty. Anti-rattle clips, I've been told. Well, fellas, they're sketchy and then they're sketchy. And I'm kind of like the king of sketchy, but this is getting even a little too sketchy for me. I'm not going to call this a total failure. If we didn't have to lift this body up so high to get it out from underneath this chassis, this would probably work. But see how far I had to block this thing up just to clear the body. This is just getting a little too sketchy right here. I think in concept, once the body is up off the chassis and you can lower it down, and my idea was to put this thing on wheels so you could just move it around so we could fit both in here, the body and the chassis. But it's getting a little iffy now. Well, I actually got smart. I'll tell you, I stopped using the floor jack to jack it up and I got the engine hoist out. Much easier, much safer, let's put it that way. So I'm just afraid that when I start jacking the front of this up, this thing's going to want to kick. And it's getting a little, it's up so high, it's getting a little sketchy. So I think what we're going to do is I got some new jack stands, some taller jack stands. We'll probably have to block them too, but I to get the back of this on jack stands, and then we can safely get the front of this up, get the chassis out of here, and then we can lower this thing down to a manageable height, let's put it that way. Because right now, like I said, work by myself. All right, we got it hooked up in the front. It's just a little sketchy. Yeah, my butthole just puckered. Let me just see something here. I think, oh, we're hung up on a clutch pedal. The brake pedal made it through, but the clutch pedal did not. So let me lower this down a little bit. That could have been the popping that we heard. All right, well, she's totally free of the chassis. Guess the hard part now is going to be getting these other jack stands in the front. It makes me a little nervous because it's got to go so high up. I mean, worst case scenario, what's it going to do? Fall over and scratch the body? I do not recommend anybody trying anything they see me do. It's dangerous, and I think what we probably should do is go down and get 2 more of those jack stands and kind of bring this thing up slowly. I'll be honest, it makes me a little nervous the height we got to reach because this thing sits up so high. But we're going to get it, guarantee it. We got our other jack stands underneath. The weight is off the hoist, so she's totally supported by these jack stands. Obviously these are got to get blocked up like the other ones. These will have to be blocked in the front the same as they are in the back, because we need that height for the rear tires to clear. Not real cool with it, but we're going to go down and get 2 more of those jack stands and do the same thing here in the front that we did in the rear, and kind of ease this thing out little by little. I think we're going to call that a win-ish. The idea was there. Does it work? I think if we put a lot more time into the fabrication of it, it probably would have. I mean, a guy could probably get some metal tubing and build something that would be much better than this. But it's possible. It is up off of the chassis. It is being held up by these supports. So is it ideal? Not really. But a guy working alone, as long as you're careful, you know, watch every step of the way. If things start getting too sketchy, stop and rethink it, man, because it's not worth, you know, something bad happening to you. But I think that's where we're going to leave this video this week. So the redneck body lift does work, kind of. Okay, it needs to be tweaked. Maybe instead of blocking it up with the 2x4s and 2x6s, maybe we should get some 4x4s or 4x6s and put nice sturdy blocks underneath there. We'll do our carburetor cobbulation next week to see if we can get this thing to run for more than 2 seconds. Once we know we got a good runner, then we'll just start blasting this thing apart and start ordering overhaul kits and do that thing. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you know somebody that's into Jeeps and wants to check out the build of this old 55, give them the link. Hit that like button, and until next week, man, take it easy.